Hello and welcome to another iteration of the Global Alpha podcast with myself and Kai this week.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast.
We're going to be doing the same as usual. We're just going to be summarizing really the performance on the US market last week and the markets as a whole, and look to what we will be paying attention to for the week coming.
Yeah, so it's pretty much the same as last week, right? Markets at record highs. What's going to stop it? It's hard. It's really hard to say. I think it's just going to keep going.
Absolutely, and I think you got some key catalysts here. You know, the predicted rate cut has sort of supported that movement of the share prices overall. Apple's come out with some new products that seem to have garnered a fair bit of interest in the markets. And chipmakers and cloud stocks are always in flavor at the moment. So
Oh yeah, well, I like the image that we have this week. What's it? Terminator Bull can't be killed. It's got Nvidia, Intel.
it's got all the chips.
That's it. It literally is unstoppable. So
Yeah, and I'd assume that's in relation to the stake that Nvidia is looking to take in Intel.
Yeah, I mean, Nvidia is an interesting one. Obviously, the big news that came out last week was that the Chinese AI producers for the language models, I think they're going to stop using Nvidia chips, or they're trying to, basically migrate towards Huawei, so domestic production.
Yep.
So that's why we saw Nvidia last week. It was a little bit soft. I mean, all the other tech stocks were pumping. I think Nvidia out of the group was the one probably a little bit lagged.
I think you saw at the end of the week some of the other more edge names started to come off a bit as well. Friday night we saw AMD come off. Micron, one of our recs, came off as well. I think that was sort of due to the fact that that information came out. And I was reading today there was SIMC, which is one of the Chinese producers similar to TSMC, has had a bit of success lately as well, which has bumped its share price recently. So I think they're really pursuing that production domestically.
SMIC is, I think, the leading contender in terms of chip production. They're still a little bit far away from where TSMC is, right? I mean, but it is interesting because, like we were talking about this morning, the pace at which they are catching up or innovating is quite stellar. So, like, I mean, what the constraint is at the moment is basically ASML in the Netherlands. They've stopped. They're not allowed to sell the extreme ultraviolet ray machines, which is needed to produce these silicon wafers, right? So. The current leading edge is probably like about 3 nanometers with TSMC, but China's only able to produce about 7 nanometers, right? So they're about like 1 to 2 generations behind where Taiwan is. But the interesting thing is that they have actually domestically found another way to produce it. To do extreme ultraviolet ray, but it's still a prototype. So there's a bit of trial and error left, but out of all that, I think SMIC is the leading contender in that. So interesting.
Absolutely. And we mentioned sort of weakness towards the end of the week last week, and I think that we've seen that filter through. Futures are looking a little bit red at the moment, I think, for tonight. So we're really waiting to see if that weakness is going to continue or the market will shake it off in the first few sessions of the week.
It's looking pretty strong on the open, on the reopen this week, right? So I think over the last, one interesting thing is actually uranium. So like all the uranium stocks, energy providers, Oklo, like these guys have actually been doing extremely well. Again, obviously the uranium miners in Australia are very lagged. I think we were looking at the stats this morning, and over the last year, if you're looking at the index URNM and Cameco in the US, they've gone up like 70% or something, right? Whereas some of the Aussie uranium producers have actually fallen. So it's a tale of two stories, but I think the general thematic exists. Energy is probably the biggest concern at the moment.
Absolutely. And I think we've got some catalysts for this week in terms of earnings that we're looking at. Micron, one of our recs that we've been talking a lot about for the last couple of weeks, it's posting its earnings on Tuesday. We saw a slight pullback towards the end of last week that I think it broke a 12-day winning streak for Micron. But look, let's hope that returns to positive tonight. And we're getting very close to that price target now that we set.
Yeah, I mean, and we were talking basically we read into why this is happening. I think it's more medium trend, right? Because the reality is there's a shortage of storage. So basically, when we're talking about these big, large language models, the amount of output that comes out, and just the general need for data infrastructure, the storage is a massive portion of it.
Yep.
And apparently the backlog at the moment is about 1 year. So that's why you're seeing all these storage producers, not just Micron, but West Digital, Seagate, these hardware producers. They are having issues with keeping up with demand. So
Yep.
I think in the medium term it's still extremely positive for Micron.
Absolutely. Particularly if they can scale up, meet that demand without impacting their margins. I think it can be a really positive story for them. Costco, another recommendation of ours that's posting later this week. Different space, sort of it's listed on the NASDAQ, but I call it a retail stock. Very confident that they'll continue to do what they always have done in terms of beating their earnings. I think they've generally will beat earnings and put out a bumper dividend year on year. So I'm fairly confident they'll continue. Really waiting for that actual share price to follow through with those results. Because it has been a bit of a laggard in the portfolio.
Yeah, and it's interesting to say because with Costco, their business model is actually quite good. I don't know if have you been to Costco before?
I have.
Yeah, it's one of those. You get the mega trolleys out, but it's incredible for families where you have more than 3 kids. The bulk savings from that, and I think it's. You see it time and time again where companies try to go overseas, replicate the model. Sometimes they fail. Domino's Pizza in Australia is a key example where it doesn't play well when it expands overseas. But I think Costco, it's actually quite good. The model's very simple, cheap, bulk, just wholesaler, right? So I think it's
and memberships as well.
Yes, exactly. Sorry, go ahead.
I think that's a unique thing of their business model that we don't really have a lot in Australia. Where you're a member to something and then you access the the saving discounts. So I think it's a very consumable product for Australians.
Yeah. And that's recurring rev, right, and sticky as well. So
absolutely,
very good.
And then we've got FedEx and some other names coming out that we're not paying as much attention to. So a bit of a mixed earnings this week. A few retail, a few tech, and then some of your other regular businesses in the States. But Micron and Costco be the two that we're going to be paying most attention to.
Very good, very good. On the economic front, we've got more Fed speakers to come out. So obviously last week, the US Fed cut rates by 25 bips. And of course, in Trump style, I don't know if that tweet was real or not. He's he's calling Jerome Powell soft. He said it should have been 100 bips cut. I think there's probably a couple more on the horizon, right? So the priced in is about another 2 more rate cuts this year, which will be very dovish and stimulatory for the economy. So yet to be seen. But again, it's data dependent. We've seen some soft data come out, which gives the Fed a bit more excuse and reason to cut. But if we see inflation or some of the other economics pick back up, it could mean probably less cuts.
Absolutely. So I think that's really all that we were really looking to cover this week. It's another one of those weeks. It's fairly brief. I can see you brought up the chart in regards to the shutdown.
Yes. I think this is probably talked to death. I mean, I don't even know what's the point of this anymore because, for the last 10 years, so many times they've shut it down. They're going to raise the debt ceiling. It's the same. There's, as Musk put it, right? It's such a hard problem to solve. I mean, they try to do it with Doge with Doge. But really, they've got so much debt accumulated now. I think it's about at 33 trillion.
Yeah.
So the interest payments on that are quite staggering. And that's really, I think, why Trump's trying to get the rates lower, so the refinancing costs on the US government debt is easier to deal with. But yeah, I think they're going to shut it down, raise debt ceiling. Same story.
Yeah, and we've seen it before.
Seen it before.
Yeah. So yeah, as we mentioned, Tesla's another one that we are looking at not posting earnings, but we just seen a bit of bumper news coming out, particularly around taxis in Texas, I believe. Sorry,
they got approved. They got approved in Arizona as
Arizona.
well.
Apologies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I believe they've got ability for the Grok AI to be fed into Teslas now and help them help the model grow. So I think there's a fair bit of positive news there that could help the share price of Tesla. That's had, I won't say recently it's been better, but not had the best year it's ever had overall. And then again, Micron and Costco, as we mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think with Tesla, the poor performance was mostly due to Elon's political extracurricular activities. But fundamentally, I think, we, in our investment committees, we still have a very bullish view on Tesla. In the long run, they've got, what was it, they had a massive government contract for their Optimus bots, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think I read that early or late last week.
Yeah, so I think that's really where they're pivoting to. It's not just EVs anymore. I mean the EV market's getting really competitive. BYD came out with the fastest car, quite slick. But I think it's Tesla's more than about just the EVs, right? Like they've got robotics, they've got AI with Grok. It's got so much potential, I think, and we're just at the beginning of it. So.
Yeah. Interestingly, on BYD, I did read this morning that Berkshire Hathaway divested 75% of their holding in BYD. So that might be interesting to see if they're still holding their Tesla to the same levels that they had previously, and what would have sort of encouraged that move.
Yeah, be interesting to see.
Yeah,
we covered the other two. And then that was the heat map for last week. I think in general we're seeing the market fairly positive. Again, actually Apple again, performed very well. But I just don't. I don't really understand it. Maybe you might have a bit more perspective, Rich. What do you think of Apple?
I think as a business, look, I'm an Apple product consumer. Don't love that I have to buy their phones and their laptops and things like that. But I am unhappy consumer of their products. I think it was just down to they've released 5 new models of the newest generation phone, which is the most models they've released to date, I believe, where they're sort of trying to cover as many price points and wants and needs of the customer that they can. So, you've got the Pro model. Now they've released a Lite model as well, which is going to be more of the fashion-based phone that people will be showing off. So I think maybe people are just happy with that product line that they've come out with, and, there's a bit of positivity around it.
Yeah, they are sitting on a massive cash reserve. But I do feel like in terms of innovation, they haven't really gone anywhere. Yeah, very limited.
Yeah.
But they are. I mean, they are juicing what they have. As you say, they're coming out with new product lines.
Yeah.
But
Not sure if you've seen the new Google ad, where it's they're sort of talking about if you want a phone that actually does something new, probably change from iPhone. So it's I think a lot of people are sort of noticing that lack of innovation and lack of change. You're buying the new phone every year, but the operating system only changes marginally. You're essentially just same phone, different case.
Maybe the BlackBerry will come back.
One day we'll go back to keys, not touchscreens.
I think aside from that, everything else has been relatively flat or slight down, as you can see across the heat map. Not really much to talk about, just basically the same old stocks pulling the index higher.
Absolutely. But I think you can clearly see the themes that we've been harping on are usually doing quite well, and that heat map really displayed that. Particularly, we've been going on about AI and it's not going anywhere. The results speak for themselves.
Absolutely. And what are we watching out for next week?
As mentioned, there's a lot of companies there. A lot of them that we've actually done very little reading into. But Micron and Costco, the ones that are highlighted there, are definitely ones that I'll be staying up to see the results for. And we have open recs on them. The other names are just really outside of my understanding or comfort zone.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess to cap it off on the week, what else is on your watch list, Mr. Nader?
Moving into the future or at the
Yeah,
moment?
any interesting ones that
Look, I'm not going to say any direct names, but am looking at a few Chinese stocks at the moment. We've recommended Alibaba in the past, but there are some other names that I'm just doing a bit more of a deeper dive into to understand where they sit in that market there. But we've had so many wins in the Chinese space with Asian tech tigers, and we had Tencent Music and Alibaba. So I think there is a bit of growth to be had in that market there. And there's a few names that we're doing a bit of a deep dive into to work out if they're going to be something that will meet our expectations.
Very good, very good. I think if the viewers want to read a bit more, we do have a paid subscription service for Global Alpha that Richard leads. It's done exceptionally well over the last 6 months to 9 months, and I think we've been picking it really, really well. So, go check out the subscription service. For me, I think CrowdStrike was an interesting one that actually came up. It had this was on our screeners for a long time, and I think in the cybersecurity space, there's definitely opportunities as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we might have to revisit that have a look in that cybersecurity space.
We've never really, it's never gone out of favor with us. We've liked cybersecurity for a long time now. We've got the open rec on Palo Alto. On Osby, as I mentioned, AI and cybersecurity and defense being really our main focuses for this year. So CrowdStrike definitely one that we should be watching closely as well. And we've got that earnings rolling around. We're nearly into the next round of earnings in the US. So we'll be able to have catalysts very soon.
Very good. Exciting market. Well, I think that wraps it up for today for the Global Alpha, and hope everyone stays safe out there and the market just keeps grinding higher. And subscribe more for the Global Alpha if you're interested in detailed analysis.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, guys.